Okay, now I should be live. Now you should be able to see me on the streams. It's going to pop up any second. I'm not sure what the dealio is. It's usually always pretty good about setting up the stream for me and sending it out. All right, I'll tell you what, we'll just go ahead and get started in it. Welcome back to another Rough Review stream. This is going to be for a few of my little tidbits I've been knocking out lately in the last, I would say the last month. My last one, we reviewed like Gladiator 2, and some games and things like that. But for you guys, I'm actually going to pull up something over here. There's another review I want to do that I don't think I actually put up on the pictures here. I like to set up my pictures for my reviews to be ready for it. And cool. So the first one I'm going to start out with is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. This was a book that I've seen from Stephen Covey for a while, and just in my talks with other people like myself that love to read and love just to go through books and stories and things like that. This was recommended to me for my reading list, and it was recommended again just recently by my supervisor, by one of my colonels. And she just said that she's going through this whole course of leadership with her people and trying to administer it and kind of show it off. And I was like, you know what? Okay, I've been putting this off for a while. I think it's time for me to get into this and really start going through the 7 habits. And just right off bat, I found the book to be very, very cool. Another book I'll reference this to, I wrote my review on the actual app and I sent it in, and I compared this book to 48 Laws of Power. If you reference my last video, I reviewed the 48 Laws of Power and what I loved about it. And that's also what I loved about this book, in that it really portrays the 7 habits. It gives you the examples. It gives you the actual 7 habits, and then it gives you an example of it. And then it really digs deep into the actual material so that you can understand it as well as, inhabit it into yourself. And something else about the book that was really cool, not only did it teach you the 7 habits, the author, Stephen Covey, has his son, Sean Covey. If I'm not mistaken, I hope I didn't get them mixed up, but Sean Covey actually comes into the book and he gives his own portrayals of how he's seen his father live in some of these habits. And I thought it was really cool. I thought it was really neat to get to know Stephen through his son's highlights, and how he spoke about his father, and how, even though he's a very profound man, excuse me, a very profound man, and he was a professional and a scholar in his own right, and that he inhabited these 7 habits, but then he was also a human being. He was a father. He had to make choices. The way he spent his time, the way he spoke to people, the way he expressed himself, the way that the president of the United States wanted to speak with him and wanted his advice and things like that. I thought was really neat. So for me, I hear that and I'm like, they're really putting power behind what these habits can really mean for someone. So without bearing the lead too much, let's get into the actual 7 habits. Number 1 being be proactive. I feel like this is something, as you mature and as you grow in your life, being proactive is a very important trait to have, regardless of where you're at, regardless of what you do, whether you're in the military like myself, or you're in the professional realm, your corporate realm, being proactive is not only recognized, but it's appreciated and it's effective. Because when you look ahead and you start to think, okay, what do I got to do to be ready for this job? What do I got to do to be prepared for this sport? I need to train, I need to practice, I need to learn, I need to research, I need to apply. And then when you get into the actual job, it makes it that much easier because you were proactive in doing so. Basically, it's preparation and just preparing yourself. You know, I've always heard the saying, those who, I might get this wrong, those who fail to prepare, those who fail to plan, plan to fail. You know, basically, if you don't plan, if you don't put the proactive traits in front to get ahead of your problem, get ahead of your task, you won't be as successful. You won't have the you've planned to fail right off bat. Basically, is how that saying goes. And I feel it. I live it. I'm 100% behind it. And I think it kind of speaks for itself. The more proactive you are, the more people, more your supervisors and your bosses, they see that and they appreciate it. They appreciate they don't have to micromanage you. They don't have to spend their time, which is precious. Like your time is precious, their time is precious. They don't have to spend their time telling you what to do and guiding you and micromanaging you. You've already looked ahead and you've done those steps for themselves. So they look at that and it's like, oh, you value my time enough to go ahead and start doing this. Thank you. As long as it's the right thing. That's another caveat to that. As long as you're doing the right thing proactively, that tends to help the situation. But if you're being proactive and you're doing the wrong thing, then you've only set yourself back farther than what you would have if you didn't do it at all. So that's just one of those things. Number two, begin with the end in mind. I actually just said this not too long ago. I think that kind of goes into being proactive, right? When you're proactive, you think about, I would say that's the end goal. The end goal is having this job. The end goal is being effective and successful at the job. So that's the end. You begin with that in mind. You want to get to that goal. So how do you get there? By being proactive, you start taking those steps. Ooh, excuse me. You start taking those steps to get to the end. But I think in this aspect, what they mean is when you get to you think about the end goal and what does it look like, and then maybe working yourself back from that end goal. It's like, okay, the end goal is be able to dunk a 10-foot goal. All right, in order to dunk it, I got to jump really high. So I got to learn how to jump high, and I got to be in shape. So I got to run a lot, and then I got to get toned up. And then by the time you get to the beginning, it's like, oh, so the beginning is I got to start here, and then I can get to that end. I think it's a lot easier a lot of times to begin with that end in mind so that you can prepare all your steps going forward to hit that end from my perspective. Number three is put first things first. So this definitely, I didn't really understand this, and I'm not sure I got the full effect of what it was trying to say, but put first things first, I take as prioritization, the priorities. Make sure the things that I've always heard, the closest alligator to the boat. You don't want to do something you don't want to have multiple tasks and you work on the task that's due 4 weeks from now when there's a task that's due tomorrow and you're putting that last. That doesn't make sense. Definitely have your priorities straight, and definitely make sure you knock out those tasks in that order. I often think about if I was in a job interview and someone asked me, how do you you have 3 different tasks that you have to work on. How do you handle that? How do you do that? And I think a lot of people think that the boss wants you to work on 3 different things at the same time. Well, I think the more mature or the more experienced answer would be to, all right, what is important to the supervisor, and then what has the time constraint on it, what is the hardest to do, what can I delegate, like all these different things come to mind and how you can actually take care of a task. and what prohibits it from being first. When you recognize and you start putting them in their order, then you could put the first things first. That's what I take from that. So number 4, think win-win. This was an interesting chapter, interesting section of the book that I definitely felt like I learned something from. Was I thought about before, but I never really put as much thought into it as this book did. Because there's always situations where there's a win-lose, lose-lose, win-lose, lose-win. Like you lose whatever compromise, whatever situation you're dealing with a person. The hope would be that you both would win out of that situation. That is the win-win. But there are cases where the compromise will be that you lose now and they win now, and later on they lose and you lose. And then it's always like this negative or pessimistic concept of that people would have. But I think what they're trying to say here, from what I read in the book, was that the win-win is try to think in a situation where both outcomes can be good or beneficial for both parties. At least think that way. At least try to work out a situation in that way. I think it's pretty straightforward. I don't know if there's much more else to get into that. Seek first to understand, then be understood. So this one, I think I hear a lot more in the last couple of years than I've heard before, in that it, I think it's interesting because when there's conversation, when you talk to someone, you're having a conversation with someone, a lot of times the less experienced speaker or the less cognitive speaker sometimes will be talking to a person, and when that person says something in the middle of the conversation, they're expressing their thoughts and they're going through maybe 2 or 3 different category elements of that thought. The other person that's listening sometimes is not always having active listening. So sometimes they're only listening to hear a word and they want to react instead of hearing the whole thing, building up their response and then responding appropriately. And that's a little bit harder than it sounds. It sounds like a conversation. You say something, I say something. You say something, I say something. That's not necessarily the case. Sometimes, because there's different ways that conversations can go. Sometimes a person just wants to express themselves and they don't want feedback. Sometimes they're expressing themselves because they want an answer or they need advice or something like that. But a lot of times, what needs to happen is that when there's a conversation going on, instead of just listening to the person talk and getting ready for the response just to say something as fast as possible, what needs to happen is the person listening needs to hear what the other person is saying and interpret it in the way that the person is trying to portray it. You have to understand what they're talking about. If they're saying a lot of words that you never heard before, then now there's a miscommunication, there's a misunderstanding. You don't understand what they're trying to portray. They're talking about a concept that just doesn't make sense for you. Maybe you need to hear it 2 or 3 times. Maybe you need to write it down yourself or apply it to something before you really understand it. That can definitely be the case. And that's what they mean by you have to seek to understand something. When someone's speaking to you in a conversation, seek to understand what it is they mean. Ask more questions. Ask more clarifying questions. Not even just in conversation, but in application in the physical realm too. I think this is a good one. Number 5 is trying to say, if there's a situation that you don't understand, when somebody does something you don't understand, whatever the case may be, if you come across a situation or element that you just don't comprehend immediately, try to understand that element first. Try to understand that person first. And then once you feel like you've got a good grasp on it, then you are in a good place to allow yourself to be understood next. Especially, I think this hits home, especially in the position of power, in the position of a supervisor or commander, being an officer or something like that. It's there's fewer of us. There's one or two of us, and there's probably like 50 of them compared to us. And I think it's important to try to understand them as individuals and as a whole, and we make ourselves understood as well. But it's a very delicate balance. It's an art. It really is an art form. Not everybody does it very well. And I think that's why I like to see, personally, my opinion is I would like to see more officers and more supervisors and leaders really learn number 5 in a good way. Really learn number 5 and hone in and master that one as much as possible. Seek to understand, then be understood. Synergize. Number 6, synergize. I think what number 6 is trying to say is to take all the first 5 and really learn how to balance them and synergize. Is to synchronize all of them in a way where you flow with it. So begin with the end in mind. So be proactive in doing it, but then learn how to do what's first. Try to come to a win-win, but then understand all of that and then be understood at the end. Boom, just like that. That's synergize. That is also an art form. That is also just about balance, work-life balance. I think I remember in the story, Sean Covey was talking about his dad, Stephen, and how he always, if I'm not mistaken, I think he always made time for the children. He always had a good relationship, and how he was at home was how he was out in the business world. And there was times where he lost his attitude, lost his composure in traffic, but he was still a good person and a good dad to begin with. So I really, really liked that. I really enjoyed it. And the last but not least is number 7 is sharpen the saw. I think what that one's trying to say is just to keep learning, keep trying to better your skills in all of these things, in all things of yourself. Trying to keep learning, keep a acquisitive mind everywhere you go. The last 2 are pretty simple, but I thought this was a really great book. I highly, highly, highly recommend it for any of all of you out there that are looking for a good book to try to get yourself thinking in a more high functioning way. 7 Habits of Effective People is a good start to get you there. So thank you for joining me for this review. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, share, comment down below. Which have you read the book, and which one did you really resonate with? Which one really hit home the most? Which one didn't really make sense to you at all? I would love to know. I love books like this. I love these kind of things. And yeah, let's talk about it. Let's chat. And I'll see you next time on the next review. All right, just loading up the next one, huh? It's gonna do this, isn't it? I think it's gonna do this. Yep, I didn't want it to do that, but that's fine. I mean, we might as well just go ahead and start with this. All right, everyone, welcome back to the next review. And what we got for you is the video game Control. Control, I don't know who it's by, but it's a PS4 game that came out back in 2019. Who won 2019? 2019, 2020, somewhere around there. So about 4 or 5 years ago. It's a dark themed game. I think it's based off of the Alan Wake games. It's like a spinoff or same universe kind of game or whatever. And basically the story is about this woman here, and she has like these psychic powers. She knows she has like a connection to the other realm or whatever. Excuse me, sorry. And she goes into this building because she's looking for her brother, and it's like this big corporate building. It's very dark and mysterious. And her brother is, I think it's her twin brothers or younger brother, something like that. and he also has psychic powers, and he's missing. And she knows that he's like part of this experiment or something like that, but she doesn't know what happened to him, where he's gone, or whatever. So she goes to this building and she starts uncovering these clues. The director is apparently in charge of this whole place, but he's missing. And you get this gun that can shoot like magic bullets, and people are possessed, and it's like dark and like zombie thinking. I don't know, zombie ghosts, poltergeists, and stuff is haunted, and you have to dispel the haunted items, and it's like a TV and a refrigerator, and it's just crazy, and the world changes. Like it's like that one movie, Inception. It came out back in 2010. It's kind of like Inception, where buildings and things are like floating around and it's changing like puzzles. Yeah, this game is really trippy. So I've actually I tried to play this game a couple times. It got really high praise. It was up for the game of the year. I think it lost to, oh man, 2019. Who won in 2019? I think it was 2019, and it was Sekiro by FromSoft. It lost to Sekiro, and I was glad because I love Sekiro. But I would say, it's a third person. I love third person. I'm glad about that. And I saw it around. I tried to play it a couple times. It went on sale a couple times, and it came on the PS Plus subscription, and it went off and came back on. And I think it came on. I tried to play it, and then I finally just bought it for $10. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna play this game this year. I'm gonna beat this thing. I'm gonna be done with it. I'm gonna say I beat it. And I'm gonna find out why it's good, why people love it so much. And I hated it. I stuck through it, and I played it and I beat it out. But I didn't platinum it. Games I really love, I try to platinum. But this one, I was trudging through. I was just like, oh my gosh, I cannot stand this game. I do not see why people like it. I do see the appeal of it. I see the energy of it, and I see the flavor. I see here. I'll play the trailer a little bit for you guys. I see the flavor. See, this is what I was talking about here, where people get possessed. Can I point at it? Yeah, people get possessed, and they like are floating up, and they're in this. It's really dark grays and blues, and it's really trippy, right? And it's not a lot. It's not a big open world where a lot of people are like massive and they're just all around you all the time. Kind of like that one video game. Oh, I love it. I love the game. What is it called? It's on PS3. Oh, you could turn into like this virus prototype. Not like Prototype, where there's a lot of people and you can just pick them up and throw them and do all crazy stuff. But I think it's based on the same. I wouldn't be surprised if it was the same people, Activision. Let me see who Control is by. Control is created by Remedy Entertainment, so not Activision. But it's got that same kind of like game design. See, it's really trippy. It's really like dark. It's not really. It's kind of spooky. It's trying to like gross you out, and it's trying to like spook you and all this kind of stuff. But for me, I just right here. This is a good rendition of what the gameplay is like. I think for me, I just couldn't get into the lore of it because there's a lot of like she's talking to herself. She's in her mind, and you see the narration and like close-ups on her eyes. She's like, yeah, the director was here, but something's off. I don't know what it is. I gotta find out. And then so she tries to go and she uncovers a mystery, another clue, and it's like, oh, Alan was here, but I don't know if he's gonna be there when I get there. I'm like, what's going on here? What is this? It's trying to be this cool survival game or something, but it's really not though. It's really, but that's my opinion, and I get that maybe. I don't remember this part right here. Like, what is this? Might have been from the DLC because there's a DLC that when you beat the game, it goes right into it, and I was just like, nope, not this guy. I don't have it. It's not in me. Um, so what throws me off is that some of the powers, you get psychic powers where you get this gun, you can change the gun up to do different things, like a shotgun, like a pistol, rapid fire. And then you get powers where you can like fly, you can levitate, you can push things, you can telekinetic, you could throw things and stuff. And it's kind of cool when you can do that. But I think it's the aesthetic. I think it just, something's missing from it. It's like you're almost all powerful right here, right? See, she got the rapid fire gun, she's flying. It's like you're almost like Superman in like a DC game or something, but this feels more like it was a proof of concept. Like they were trying to make a game where, see, it's kind of empty, right? They're trying to make a game where they can show off the powers that they can kind of create. And it's like, okay, we can make her do these things, and that's gonna be cool. And it's just enough to keep you engaged. And then I think people like the lore of it, where it's like this mysterious mind puzzle thing that they also like. That altogether is what people love about it. And I'm just like, okay, I see what you're talking about, but it's just not for me. And I will say at the end of the game, to me, it was kind of lackluster. It was kind of, they just try to make it as trippy as possible. I guess that's kind of neat. Yeah, you can kind of power slam down. You can pick stuff up and throw it. It's like a proof of concept. There's not enough going on. To me, there's not enough for you to have these kind of godlike powers and to be doing all this without like something else to really fight against. If there was another superpower person like this in the game that you fought against, yeah, but it's not even that. You don't have multiple superpower people you go against. You have a bunch of like soldiers just going around, and they got the powers around. They got like force fields around them. They can throw a gun. They're shooting at you. They can throw bombs and stuff. I'm like, this is like any other generic third-person shooter, run gun kind of game. And I was just like, I don't know, man. Craft new weapons and upgrades. And so there's only like 3 or 4. Maybe there's a 4th one I didn't get, but yeah, that was Control. You know, it's kind of a big world game, but that was it. I didn't really care for it. Like I said, I pushed through it. I beat it. I said I did it, and there it is. So anybody, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it with friends. Let me know if you did like it, or maybe like me, you didn't like it. Try to convince me. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something. There's something I don't see in this whole thing that is sitting right there in my face. I don't know. I would love any comments, but yeah, that's it for the Control review. So yeah, like the video, and I'll see you next time. On to the next one. Let's see what the next one is. The next one is gonna be, you know what? Let's do this. Sonic 3. Let's just do this. Sonic 3. So this just came out this past week. And it's the third one in the trilogy. And I gotta say, I really freaking loved this movie. It was great. It was a lot of fun. I was kind of scared a little bit because as much as I love Keanu Reeves, he's voicing Shadow. He's not the best with expressions, He's a lot of fun in Matrix and John Wick and stuff like that when it comes to the action. But with this, it's an animation. He's got to do the voice acting. And it kind of shows. It kind of shows like he just read the lines and, you got it. That's it. But Sonic 3 starts out with Sonic, and you got Knuckles and Tails now, and they're out doing a fun little race, and they're, just having a good time being a little family unit. Well, lo and behold, right at the beginning of the movie, I'll try to keep spoilers short. You know what? No, I'm gonna do light spoilers. Um, this is the tactical group gun or whatever it's called comes up, and they're like, "Hey, we need your help because Shadow is loose, and we need you to help us fight Shadow." So they come and they fight Shadow, and he doesn't have the fast powers. He has more like teleportation powers. He can teleport with chaos energy. So he beats up Sonic and those guys, and they're like, "We need to get some help." They go and find Robotnik, and Robotnik, Jim Carrey, he's back, and Jim Carrey makes this movie, man. Excuse me. He's just being Jim Carrey all day. I feel like they were like, "Hey, Jim Carrey, you're in a Sonic movie, go," and he just did his thing. Here we can go through some of it a little bit here. So here, this is part of the movie. They go and find. They're trying to find. This is before they go to Robotnik. They're going to Japan to get info on Sonic. On what's his name? On Shadow. I don't know why they did this. I guess it's just some product placement or something for sponsors or something like that, where they go to this area, this restaurant for kids, and it's like all this jumping around. It's like, "Hey, are you Pikachu?" And he's like, "No." And he's like, "Ha, you look like Pikachu." And it was kind of funny. Of course, it's by Sega. We love Sega. They were big games back in the day. So this is where they go to meet Robotnik as Jim Carrey and Robotnik's grandfather, Gerald Robotnik. And I was like, did they just make up this character out of nowhere? No, this is actually based on the actual lore and the actual story of Shadow, and Robotnik's grandfather is in it, and he was a professor, and his whole mishap happened, explosion or whatever, killed his granddaughter, which is Robotnik's cousin. Robotnik's cousin, and it's like a whole shenanigans happen. There's a MacGuffin. They have to go and get this little key card thing, and Robotnik and Shadow go get the key card, and they're trying to go do that, and Knuckles, Tails, and Sonic go and try to stop them, and it's just goofy shenanigans and all that kind of stuff. So getting down to it, the story it's about as good as it's gonna get. It's a video game movie about Sonic the Hedgehog, Robotnik, and Jim Carrey's in it. I mean, what do you expect? It's not gonna be like super awesome, cinema, but I thought it was good. I thought it was fun. I thought it was easy to follow. You have a reason for being there. You have a reason to fight. You have a reason to be friends and all that kind of stuff. I thought Jim Carrey and his acting was superb. His funniness. I mean, dual acting. He's acting with himself. That's crazy. I thought that was really awesome. Some of the other characters, I forget what their names are. It's the husband and wife that Sonic lives with. They're in the movie. I mean, they actually have a couple of moments. It was kind of funny, honestly. But I mean, they play their parts. The powers were really cool. They had this one, of course, they're going to show Super Sonic and Super Shadow, right? They did this whole scene where it's like Dragon Ball Z, and they're fighting, and it's blowing up stuff, and they're fighting, like they're punching each other to outer space, and they're fighting in space and shooting powers and stuff. I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. I'm actually enjoying myself. The second act, third act is pretty good. It's pretty fun. So, pretty climactic. At the end of the movie, he had a really good stinger. I won't spoil that for you, but they're definitely setting up for a Sonic 4 or something. So, I thought I was going to say more about this, but I mean, I thought it was just good. There's nothing else really to say about it. Now, is it going to do a lot in the theater, like a lot of money? I don't know about that. I don't know. I hope so. I hope people go out to see it. I hope we get a sequel. I hope Jim Carrey comes back, because he keeps trying to retire, but then he did the first Sonic, and then he was like, I'm going to retire. And then he did the second Sonic, and then it was like, okay, I'm going to come back for the third one too. It was like, I thought you were retired. But this seems to be the only movie that he's even going to do anymore. And I'm happier for it. So all of this right here, this was great. I thought I wanted a more serious Robotnik, but after this, man, I don't know. I think I'm happy with exactly what we got here. So with that being said, tell me what you thought. Did you see the movie? Did you like it? Did you play the games back in the day? Which Sonic character is your favorite character? Which Sonic game is your favorite game? Be sure to like the video and subscribe down and comment down below about the questions I just asked. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Appreciate it. I didn't get any trailer, any of these things. 2K. Bum, bum, bum. No. We can do better than that. Did that come out this year? I mean, okay. Duh, it came out this year. This is so unprofessional of me. I should have this done already. Oh, yeah. Actually, I like this one a lot better. Bam. I've always wanted a brother. Seven habits. So I got that. And we only got one more left here. Just got to get some of these up and going real quick. So the next one we're going to talk about today is Mufasa. All right, welcome back to the video. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. And so the next movie we're going to talk about is Mufasa, the Lion King. I literally just saw this yesterday, and I gotta say, so just right off the bat, I think I really enjoyed the movie. I don't think it was the best movie I've ever seen of all time, but I really enjoyed it. Considering the fact that The Lion King, when did that come out? I think it came out 2 years ago. Did it come out 2 years ago? Lion King. Oh, was it 2019? No way. Lion King came out in 2019? It's been 5 years. Wow. Okay. Wow, I'm really throwing. I didn't realize it took that long. So Mufasa, the Lion King, is a story about, of course, Mufasa, Simba's father, the original character from Lion King. And in the Lion King's, Mufasa was already grown. He was the king of the Pride Lands. And he actually dies in that one. We see him die to sacrifice his life to save Simba. Well, in this one, Mufasa, he's with his mother and father, light spoilers, and he ends up getting lost, and he's found by Scar, who doesn't go by Scar at the time. He's going by his original name was Taka. So Taka brings him to his family, and becomes his brother, and that's where the adventure begins. And we see how Mufasa became the first Lion King of the Pride Lands. So just right off bat, I thought this entire story of this movie was really good, for the most part. I really enjoyed how it brought together all the characters that we know and love in the original Lion King into this one, in that it's almost like it was an Avengers. It's like, hey, they're all misfits. They're all outcasts and misfits, excuse me, of their respective tribes. Mufasa was a lost pup. Rafiki, his tribe didn't like him. They kicked him out. Sarabi, I think her family was kicked out of their lands or something like that. So they're on the run. And then you have Taka. Something happens with his tribe that starts the whole turn of events that we see. So, and then of course at the end, what happens? He becomes the Lion King. Mufasa becomes Lion King, and Scar does become Scar. And I really enjoyed how they had the characters kind of build up to who they are when we see them in Lion King. I loved how Simba, just right off the bat, he had the qualities of a king. He stands with valor and honor. And even in the beginnings with Taka, they showed when they got to their more teenage years, they showed how, he had ambition. He had a certain rite of passage that was being given to him. But at the end of the day, he didn't have the qualities though. Whereas Mufasa would step up and be brave, and he had the hunting skills, and he had the experience. Taka never got that hunting skills. He never got the experience. He was never brave. He was always jealous and envious and deceitful and stuff like that. So they really showed how it built up to that. And at no point did I feel like it was a direct, like, crazy turn of events. Like, excuse me, like, whoa, I didn't see that coming. Like, that just came out of nowhere. No, it actually built up to a lot of those things that happened. So, so that was really enjoyable in that. I felt like the pacing was really good. I feel like it didn't really, it wasn't too jarring. It didn't move too fast. And it kept you engaged for the most part. They had enough action, enough talking to kind of help balance each other out. What else was good? The singing. So I didn't even think that there would be singing in this movie, and there was. Excuse me. Taka, I think he has a song originally, one of the first songs. It's like, I always wanted a brother. I always wanted a brother. You talked to my brother. And I was like, oh, but it's like, brother. I always wanted a brother. I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah, so that makes sense because Taka or Scar in the first movie was voiced by Jeremy Irons. Jeremy Irons, who's 76 years old, by the way, who's an English actor. He's a British actor. And with that being said, they kept that going in this movie where Taka had an English accent. And then, of course, by the end of the movie, when he becomes Scar, his eye gets scarred and he's outcasted for a good reason. He has an English voice. And even his voice actor, when he grows up, like from a kid, he has an English voice, and then he grows up and they kept singing the song. So I thought it was really cool. It really made him stand out. What else? Some of the other songs I didn't really like as much. That was the only real good one. I was like, okay, that's gonna be a good song. There was another one where Mads Mikkelsen he's the main villain in the movie, the main villain lion, and he has a song called Bye Bye. I was just like, oh my gosh, this is so cringy. It's like, you're gonna go bye bye, and it's like, yeah, it's bye bye. I was like, oh my gosh, who made this song? This is horrible. You have another song where Mufasa and Sarabi are doing a duet together. I thought it was alright. It was okay. It was about the midpoint. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad either. It was just alright. But some of the animation was pretty decent. I thought it was really neat. There are times where you can tell, like, yeah, that's not a real elephant, and that's not a real lion. That's obviously not a real lion. These lions are buff. In this movie, these lions, like, I've seen a real lion recently, in the zoo, mind you. I know it's a zoo, but the lions are skinny in a zoo. They're really skinny. When you think about it, if you're out in the wild, I mean, they're scavengers. They really are scavengers, and they really have to fight for their food. So, I mean, you have to wonder just how healthy lions really are. But they show these dudes, these lions in here be like lifting, like be deadlifting and bench pressing and power cleaning or something. I don't know, man. Like these some buff lions, bro. So, what else? Some of the things I didn't like about the movie, um, I didn't like the song. I didn't like the songs as much. Um, I really liked the pacing. I liked everything like that. So, unfortunately, when I came to watch this movie, um, it had already started. So I missed a lot of the beginning, the first real beginning. But throughout the whole thing, they had Timon and Pumbaa in there. Like they just have to have Timon and Pumbaa. I'm like, why? Why do you need to have them in there? It's not their story. You don't need to do that. But I can see for the kids, they gotta have Timon and Pumbaa, make them funny, make them engaging and stuff. But they did it from a point of view where Rafiki is talking to Kiara. So if you know, Kiara is Simba's daughter, and that's in the second Lion King, Lion King 2. She's in that movie and she grows up and everything. Well, they had it in this movie where Kiara is here and Rafiki is telling her a story about how Mufasa became the king, and then that's where we go into the story. Rafiki's telling the whole backstory. So they'll keep coming back to the narration where it shows Rafiki talking to Kiara, but then Timon and Pumbaa keep coming in and interrupting and doing all this silly stuff. And I was just like, okay, this is definitely killing the pace a lot. It's throwing off the tone a lot too. So that's just something, that it was there and, it wasn't really great the whole time. But I didn't think it really killed the movie for me. I didn't think it made the movie a bad movie or anything. I would say this is just a good movie. It's a good movie. And I really like that it was an original movie too. I love that it's something I've never seen before. I didn't know how they're going to do the story. I don't know if there's a book out there or something like that that goes over this, but I thought this was a great prequel. This was a really good prequel story for the original Lion King as it is. So, yeah, there's that. I don't know what else to say about it. I'm expecting a Lion King 2 to come out eventually. But yeah, if you have any questions or anything else you want to know about it, please let me know. Comment down below, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. And yeah, join me for some more movie reviews. Till next time. Let's just stop that one. I didn't even go into the trailer. I think I'm gonna just end it there.